Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to look at some of the tools that you can use to improve yourself. This is not strictly just looking at how you speak English, but personal development or professional development. One of the tools that you can use is NotebookLM. NotebookLM is a research assistant. It does a lot of runaround for you, so you don't have to spend hours reading through every piece of literature that there is. It will collect a number of pieces of literature and offer you a summary of what is collected. So it is a really important tool for you to use. It can look for up to 500 pieces of information on the internet. It starts with 10, and for this presentation, I've stuck with the basic 10. And I think that's still a really useful amount of information that is provided, and it provides you a really useful research tool. Without further ado, here's the video explainer that I created using NotebookLM, and I'll see you at the end of the video.
Welcome back. Today, we're unpacking a massive classic, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But we're not just skimming the surface here. We're going to dig into the practical, everyday applications. And then, this is the really fun part, we're going to impartially examine some of the biggest philosophical and academic critiques of the framework.
So, let's just jump right in with the ultimate question at the core of Covey's work. What actually makes someone effective? You know, is true success just about managing your outward appearance and slapping on a smile, or does it genuinely boil down to your deep, inward character?
Well, Covey noticed this super fascinating shift. If you look at self-improvement literature from before World War I, it was all about what he calls the character ethic. We're talking integrity, humility, the golden rule. But after the war, society totally pivoted to a superficial personality ethic. It became all about public image, quick fixes, and behavioral hacks. Covey's whole argument is that to get lasting results, we gotta ditch the quick fixes and go back to that inside-out, character-first approach. Here is our roadmap for this explainer. We'll hit the paradigm shift, the path to independence, and interdependence and self-renewal. Then we'll pivot to look at utopian flaws and academic critiques, wrapping up with the secular perspective.
Okay, part 1, the paradigm shift, moving from the outside in to the inside out.
At the core of all this is what Covey calls the P/PC balance. Basically, true effectiveness is a delicate balancing act. P is production, that's your desired result, the golden egg. PC is production capability, maintaining the health of the asset, or, the goose that actually lays the egg. You literally cannot just chase short-term wins without taking care of the source. I mean, a burnt-out goose isn't laying any eggs, right? Moving right along to part 2, the path to independence, mastering the private victory. Covey visualizes this journey on the maturity continuum. Think of it like this. We all start out completely dependent, relying entirely on other people. By mastering the first 3 habits, we move to independence, taking care of ourselves. But listen, that is not the finish line. The ultimate goal is actually interdependence, where we bring our independent strengths together with others to massively multiply our effectiveness. But to even reach that basic independence, Habit 1 says we absolutely have to become proactive. This means acting strictly within your circle of influence. You've got to focus your energy on things you can actually change, rather than endlessly stressing over external stuff you literally can't control, what Covey calls the circle of concern.
And the dynamic here is incredibly cool. When you focus positive energy on what you can control, your circle of influence literally expands. People see you getting things done, and your power grows. On the flip side, if you're pouring negative energy into things you can't change, like the economy or the weather, your influence shrinks, and you just get trapped in this reactive victim mindset.
Let's ground this in reality. Imagine a distance learning student. Applying Habit 1, being proactive, doesn't mean sitting around complaining about a loud house. It means packing up and moving to the library. For Habit 2, beginning with the end in mind, it's about remembering your core motivation, maybe a career pivot or a bump in pay. And Habit 3, putting first things first, is simply about hardcore time management so you can actually balance your coursework with your family life without losing your mind. All right, part 3, interdependence and self-renewal, the public victory. Sticking with our student example, Habits 4 through 7 give us some fantastic collaborative tools. Thinking win-win means using online forums to help your classmates succeed right alongside you. Seeking first to understand, that's about genuinely absorbing tutor feedback instead of getting defensive. Synergize is taking diverse ideas from a study group to create something way better than you could alone. And finally, sharpen the saw just means remembering to step away, go for a walk, eat a decent meal, and hang out with friends so you don't completely burn out. Now, if you want to know the absolute secret sauce to managing your time within all these habits, it's not about putting out urgent fires all day. The real trick is spending as much time as possible in quadrant 2. These are the things that are highly important but not urgent. We're talking long-term planning, building relationships, preventative maintenance. If you prioritize quadrant 2, those urgent, stressful crises start to just naturally disappear. Let's shift gears to part 4, Utopian Flaws and Academic Critiques, the MBA Antithesis. We've covered Covey's robust framework, but let's neutrally examine some of its academic critiques. A comprehensive MBA review by Timur Subgutalan argues that Covey's model borders on utopian. The critique suggests that the 7 habits kind of ignore harsh global realities. Think about major economic recessions or market crashes. These massive external forces can brutally dictate a person's circumstances, no matter how proactive they try to be. It's also super interesting to contrast Covey's ideal win-win mentality with the gritty reality of game theory. Covey's approach is that everyone walks away feeling good and committed. But critics in the business world point out that, realistically, competition is what drives progress. Sometimes an adversarial win-lose situation isn't just common, it's actually absolutely necessary to push organizations forward. The MBA review also flags a really fascinating potential personality bias. It points out that extroverts, people who are naturally sociable and outgoing, might find it super easy to adopt Covey's interpersonal habits. But introverts, who might value private space and shy away from constant collaboration, could find those public victory habits exhausting or just plain unnatural to implement in their daily lives. And finally, part 5, the secular perspective, separating principles from theology. So, Covey was openly religious and attributed the ultimate source of his correct principles to a divine creator. But secular reviewers look at this through a totally different lens. Using Pierre Simon Laplace's famous quote, "We have no need of that hypothesis," they argue that bringing a deity into it is essentially a thought stopper. From a secular standpoint, you don't need a supernatural hypothesis to explain the basic mechanics of human behavior and effectiveness. On top of that, Covey sometimes seems to conflate secularism with a culture of cynicism and, frankly, meaninglessness. Secular critics passionately push back on this. They argue that a non-religious life isn't cynical at all. It can be incredibly rich and deeply meaningful when grounded in a love of science, the cosmos, art, history, and genuine human compassion. So, if principles aren't divine laws handed down from above, what are they to a secular thinker? Well, the argument is that principles are just highly accurate human ideas. They're mental maps and schemas that human minds have constructed by observing general trends and patterns in reality over thousands of years. For instance, noticing that proactive people generally get better results isn't a divine rule. It's just an accurate observation of how human behavior interacts with reality. This leads to a really wild paradox regarding habit 1 and the concept of absolute free will. Secular reviewers point out that while absolute, unfiltered free will isn't really supported by modern cognitive physics, actually pretending or believing that you have it is a tremendously effective psychological tool. Even if true free will is an illusion, adopting the belief that you are in control is incredibly useful for pushing yourself to take proactive responsibility. To pull all of this together into one final provocative thought, can we extract the undeniable practical brilliance of Covey's 7 habits, the intense focus, the planning, the empathetic listening, while deliberately leaving behind the utopian assumptions and the theological baggage? It's a huge question to consider as you map out your own path to effectiveness. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.
Okay, what did you think? I have to say that I am impressed. I'm not being paid for this. It is a tool that I think is really useful, and hopefully it's something that you're already using. I think that people will get a lot from this. It's not making you lazy, it's helping you use effective time. With Stephen Covey's book, one of the questions I've always want to ask myself, does everyone who practices these 7 habits become successful? That is one of the questions that I think doesn't get answered. And yes, the habits are all useful. I'm not necessarily sure that sticking to these habits will 100% make you successful. I think they're habits that lots of people use. Tell me what you think. It would be really good to know. And if you enjoyed this video, why don't you leave a comment and tell me what you want to talk about next? Thank you for your time.